Welcome to the City Club of Eugene March 29th program featuring the candidates for Wards 1 and Ward 2 of the Eugene City Council. My name is Joel Corin. I'm chair of the City Club Program Committee. Today's forum is made possible by the financial support of AARP Oregon, a trusted and positive force for social change using the experience and leadership of volunteer members to benefit all Oregonians as we age. We greatly appreciate their support, and you can find more information at states.aarp.org/Oregon. Today we are coming to you from the 5th Street Market in the heart of downtown Eugene, and it's my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our speakers and to all of you joining me here in person, and we do have a full house, and over the radio. For 3 decades, the City Club of Eugene has remained dedicated to its founding mission to build community vision through open inquiry. In accordance with our mission and our purpose, we hope to help connect people throughout the community and across generations, identities, experiences, and perspectives. You are invited this week and every week to join us in this effort and share your wisdom, learn something, and take active steps to make a difference in the city and region we love. Of course, we cannot do this work alone. Special thank you to our platinum sponsors, Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce, serving as a catalytic leader in creating a vibrant and diverse economy that thrives, that provides economic opportunity and well-being. Kaiser Permanente exists to provide high-quality, affordable health care services and to improve the health of our members and the communities we serve. More information at www.kp.org. The University of Oregon has helped Oregonians to question critically, think logically, reason effectively, communicate clearly and creatively, and to live ethically since 1876. Get more information at uoregon.edu. Peace Health has been a proud provider of services to Eugene and Lane County and beyond. Your hometown healthcare partner for more than 80 years. The Peace Health mission is to keep you and your family healthy. Learn more at peacehealth.org. Lane Community College transforms lives through learning. LCC provides comprehensive, accessible, high-quality educational opportunities that promote student success. For more information, visit lanecc.edu. And thank you to the City of Eugene for its support as well. Whether you are joining us for your first time or are a longtime listener, I invite you to support our work by becoming an individual member, business or community sponsor, or volunteer to be part of a committee or the board. I recommend the program committee. You can do all these things and more at cityclubofeugene.org. Today's program will feature candidates for 2 of the wards that are running. The candidates for Ward 7 have mutually agreed not to participate so they could be with their kids over spring break, and there's an uncontested seat in Ward 8. So what we have are the candidates for Ward 1 and 2. The candidates for Ward 1 are Ethan Clevenger, Ted Coopman, and Eliza Kashinsky, and the candidates for Ward 2 are Matt Keating and Lisa Warneth. And our moderator today is Rachel McDonald of KLCC. I'll turn the program over to her.
Thank you. I'm Rachel McDonald with KLCC. This is the City Club of Eugene, and we will start. I'm going to go over the rules real quick, and then we'll get into it. So we'll start with 2 minutes for opening statements, and we've agreed to do that alphabetically with Ward 1 first. And then first question will come from an AARP representative, and then we will go into more questions, and you'll have 1 minute for each question answer. And then at the end, you'll have 1 minute for closing remarks, which we will do in reverse order. And I am going to try to mix up the order so that no one is always going first during our question and answers. So let's go ahead with opening statements. And when you begin your opening statement, please say your name and the seat you're running for. So I believe we're starting with Ethan Clevenger.
Oh, no, I have it right here.
I just came.
Oh, okay, good.
Could have worn 2 microphones.
Sorry, that didn't go into your time.
Okay. And is this sufficiently audible? Yeah, okay, great. All right, hello, my name is Ethan Clevenger, and I am running for the City Council seat in Ward 1. I am a small business owner downtown. I have a men's clothing store, Porterhouse Clothing and Supply, that sits between J. Michael's Books and Ambrosia on Broadway. 3.5 years ago, I very intentionally put my business downtown. There were other options available to me, but I believe in downtowns as a concept, and I believe in Eugene's downtown. I believe in the economics of a downtown. When you spend your dollar there, it goes in a great many different directions, and that helps to create a diverse and thriving economy. A city is dependent on a thriving downtown to be a thriving city, and ours is currently not thriving. So I put my business down there to put skin in the game and show that I was invested in that portion of our community. And I talk to folks every day who mourn downtown. They come down and they tell me, oh, I wish I came down more often, but I just, there's nothing here for me, or I don't feel comfortable being down here. And as this year's president of Downtown Eugene Merchants, I also hear from the other side. I hear business owners who are struggling. They are pessimistic. They feel alone. And they feel as though they made it through a global pandemic hanging on by a thread, and subsequently had a very large-scale construction project undertaken around them, and they hear from customers that this makes them all the less likely to come down and visit them. And we're all pretty clear on the reasons that folks don't come downtown. It's not because the curbs are not flattened, and it's not because we don't have bump outs and bioswales. Those things are important. But the reason that people don't come downtown, the reasons we hear, are that the people in our community who are experiencing homelessness are making their lives on our streets and in our parks downtown. That is their option in life. And that co-occurs with mental health disorders, with drug addiction, and that results in an unpredictable individual. And depending on your life experiences, when you come downtown and you share space with those folks, you may feel anywhere from uncomfortable to legitimately unsafe. And that is why people do not come downtown. And we did not stabilize that issue before we decided to tear up the streets. That's time? That's 2 minutes? Oh my gosh. All right, a bright future and a vision we all share.
Hi, I'm Ted Coopman, and I'm running for Ward 1 City Council. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, the City Club of Eugene for hosting, and KLCC for broadcasting. More than 8 years as a board member and later chair of Jefferson Westside Neighbors, I've participated in hundreds of meetings and park work parties and listened to talk with hundreds of Ward 1 neighbors. Those conversations have given me a good sense of what's on people's minds. It's a desire for leadership for a change, and that's why I'm running to represent Ward 1 in City Council. I'm tired of watching my neighbors suffer over poorly thought out policies and the neglect of Ward 1 neighborhoods. I want to change that. I have a proven record of accomplishments and that address our most pressing concerns, and I'll share a couple with you today. Working with current Ward 1 Councilor Emily Simple and allies, we battled for 8 years to put sidewalk repair on the city's to-do list. That such an obvious and important need could languish for so long shows the challenges Eugene faces in improving governance. After years of Jefferson Westside neighbor boards agitating for affordable housing at the Naval Reserve site at 13th and Chambers, neighbors partnered with EC Cares, Homes for Good, and Head Start to create 80 units of affordable housing and its early learning center. We went from concept to approval in an incredible 13 months. I led the robust outreach that ensured all voices were heard and demonstrated how thoughtful public process could work. These are just a few examples of how I recognize neighbors' concerns and the demands of our times to forge solutions that address some of Ward 1's and the city's most serious challenges. I listened and took action as a neighborhood leader, and I will do the same representing the voters of Ward 1 as a city councilor. If you're looking for leadership for a change, I'm your candidate.
All right, I'm going to go for exactly 2 minutes. I'm going to see if I can do it. All right. So my name is Eliza Kashinsky, and I'm running for Ward 1 City Council. Thank you to the City Club and to KLCC and to all of you. I came to Eugene 11 years ago. I got a job here, and I fell in love with Eugene immediately. I fell in love with the beauty of this community, with the passion and the compassion of all of my neighbors in this community, and with the choices that Eugene offered me. I had the choice to walk to the store instead of driving. I had the choice of different types of houses that I could live in. But not everyone in Eugene has those same choices. And so one of the things that I did very soon after I got here was starting to try and work to make sure that everybody in Eugene could have the type of choices that I was so lucky to have. I started out as a walkability and housing advocate, looking at ways we could have more different types of houses in our community that would meet different needs, particularly smaller options like accessory dwelling units, granny flats, those kinds of things. As I got more and more involved, I joined the Eugene Budget Committee. I've been on the Budget Committee for the past 7 years, which has given me the opportunity to learn about all of the different parts of the city, to work on all of the different challenges the city's facing. I had the opportunity to preserve funding for affordable housing and for human services. Because there was still a little bit of time left in the day, I also joined the Lane County Planning Commission. So very sort of lots of opportunities to work in different parts of our community to try and help make things better for Eugene. Eugene is facing a lot of tough challenges right now. Homelessness crisis, a housing shortage, the impacts of climate change. The Ward 1 deserves a city councilor who has the experience and the knowledge and the relationships to hit the ground running from day one and be able to make some real progress on the challenges we're facing. Oh, I still have 6 seconds.
Hello, I'm South Eugene City Councilor Matt Keating. When I'm not serving on council, I serve as Chief of Staff to Senator James Manning in the Capitol. I am the City of Eugene's liaison to the Lane Regional Air Protection Agency, and I'm the past chair of the Human Services Commission. I'm running for re-election because I love Eugene. And I love making a difference, as I did for 2 terms as an LCC board member, helping save the early childhood education program, saving the welding program, saving theater arts, because fundamentally, we are better humans when we embrace the arts. I'm also a KLCC board member, foundation board member, and as I see Dana, I'm a Eugene Public Library Foundation Emeritus board member. I got to get that in. So I love the library as well. Eliza's right. We're in a housing crisis. We're combating the climate crisis. And I'm proud to be, quite possibly, the fossil fuel industry's least favorite city councilor. I wear that as a badge of honor. It is an honor to serve South Eugene. It's an honor to work hand in glove with law enforcement and our first responders who have endorsed my campaign. We stood together, banded together to ban fireworks. We helped prevent the closure of a fire station. And we helped save Green Hill Humane Society's funding stream from a severe 8% cut last budget session. It's an honor to serve you, South Eugene, and I look forward to 4 more years as your city councilor. Thank you.
What are the chances of us sitting in an alphabetical order randomly? Is this on? Yeah. Hey. Let me begin by just thanking everybody at City Club and everybody here participating today, and those of you that are out there listening.
Hold the mic closer to your mouth, please.
Okay.
And introduce yourself.
Oh, I am Lisa Warnes, and I am running for City Council for Ward 2. I'm running in large part because I believe my opponent actually does care more about his political career than he does about the residents of South Eugene. From the list of commitments he has, it seems to me, we deserve a better representation, more focused on our Ward 2. This ward has been my home for 44 years as well, so I have a deep commitment to this ward. For the last 25 years, I've owned and operated a residential remodeling business. I'm a builder of homes, and I'm a builder of relationships, and I'm not pursuing a political career. I've served for many years as vice chair on the Southeast Neighbors Board and also on the Eugene Planning Commission. In 2004, I led a successful fight to protect 40 acres of mature forest from development in the Southeast Hills. That land is now a beautiful addition to the Eugene Park system. As City Councilor, I will work to preserve the quality of our neighborhoods while also advocating for more affordable housing within those neighborhoods rather than expecting the market to somehow provide that. Home builders are in business to make a living, and more expensive houses bring larger profits. We need to do a much better job at incentivizing affordable housing construction to promote affordable housing. Transparency in the city finances is also very important. If the city administration is telling us we have budget shortfalls ahead of us, we should be having community-wide conversations about our priorities. If we can't afford essential services, then we should not be granting tenure tax exemptions to high-end developers, nor using our limited bonding authority to help build a sports stadium. And for more information about my campaign, go to warnessforcouncil.org to donate or to volunteer. Oh,
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Gwen Burkhardt with the AARP to come on up here and give the first question. Come to me. And the first person to answer will be Ted, and we'll go in that order.
Thank you very much. How about I hold it? It's okay? Okay. Want to ask all of you, almost 40% of Eugene residents are older than 50. That's according to the latest census. By See, I'm the first one to be the experimental one. Okay, thank you. By 2034, there will be more adults 65 and older in Eugene than children under 18. How will you work to ensure that Eugene is prepared for these changing demographics of our community, addressing the needs of older adults and people with disabilities, while also engaging older adults who bring important resources to the table?
Well, first, I think we need to fix our sidewalks because I know there are a lot of my neighbors who are elderly or mobility challenged or just regular people that have hurt themselves on those sidewalks. And so I really think that building up our infrastructure, repairing our infrastructure will do a lot towards allowing people as we age in order to get around this town. And I think that in walkable neighborhoods is incredibly important.
Eliza?
Thank you so much. So I think that, first of all, again, infrastructure, sidewalks, those are a key piece of it. It's also making sure that we're building our community in a way that people have options to live within walkable neighborhoods. Ward 1, we're incredibly fortunate that we can have the conversation about sidewalks and how do we fix the sidewalks. But there are lots of places in the city where there aren't even sidewalks, and even if there were sidewalks, you'd be walking miles to get to a mile, more than a mile, to get to anything other than a house. And for a lot of people, that's their experience of our cities, that they have to have a car to get around. And as you get older, if you have a disability, that creates some real challenges. And so I think it's looking at it not just in what we need in our ward, but what we need for the city. And I think it's also working with people to find out what they need. It's communicating with the AARP, it's communicating with our residents as they say what they need, and being able to kind of be responsive to those concerns as they come up. So thank you.
Matt, you can go next. And reminder that it's 1 minute per answer, which you
Great,
guys
thank
are
you.
doing great on.
Gwen, thank you for the question on behalf of AARP. In addition to the rising amount of seniors in our community, more than 50% are renters. I'm proud to have supported a whole suite of renters' rights. We're in an unaffordable housing crunch, a crisis. So we need more housing at all income levels, affordable, federally subsidized housing, missing middle housing, co-op housing, housing that will allow for seniors to scale down and stay in our community. And I proudly supported reducing the barriers for ADUs, the building of mother-in-law cottages throughout our community. But we need to build responsibly. And we need to build up, not out. Fundamentally protect our urban growth boundary, protect our forests to the south, our farmlands to the north, and build up preferably along transportation lines so our seniors can stay in this community that we all love and cherish.
Lisa?
Thank you for the question. That's a tough question, really. To me, it's a question more like, what do we do with all of the unhoused? It's a question of our time that we have to address. I don't really know what the answer is. I believe there has to be some sort of savings in our budget or funding or something. I know one thing is property taxes. I'm probably not going to be able to stay in my home given the rate of property taxes, given the Social Security I'll be looking at in retirement. So I'm looking at that very dynamic, very seriously. I don't want to live in some little home along the railroad tracks or wherever. I want to stay in my home, and I know a lot of people feel that way. And so I want to do everything I can to get to the bottom of that answer. I know there has to be an answer. There's an answer for the homeless. We have to figure it out collectively. It's a national problem, really. The Eugene has I'm not sure if the rest of the country is in the same predicament as we are with our ratio of young to old. I think that's absolutely true. But I'm going to say thank you for your time. Thank you for the question.
All right, and
I'll hold it
Ethan,
for a while.
same question?
Great. So Matt really touched on diversity in housing and how important that is to an aging population, because Eugene Hotel is the right place for some retirees, and aging in place is the right solution for some retirees. And if you're going to age in place, your home has to be affordable. So the more we build and the more diversely we build, the more likely you are in a home that you can afford well into retirement. Additionally, we should expand the existing homeowner improvement grant programs that we have to keep maintenance within reach for folks who can no longer do that kind of work themselves, and allow them to retain value in their home and stay in it longer. And finally, retirement is not a cheap endeavor. Life only gets more expensive. And so the folks who are retiring in the year 2030 won't be the last folks to retire in our community. And as we think about even further into the future, we need to make sure we're attracting businesses to our area and building an economy that creates good jobs with good benefits that will support folks well into retirement through all stages of life.
Thank you. So Eliza, you'll answer this first. Our city has gone through several rough budget years and has had to cut back some services such as programs at the library. It's likely that if you're elected, you'll face similar challenges. What's your approach and philosophy for budgeting during hard times?
So I've already kind of been in some of those conversations already. The last 2 budget cycles, we've had some very, very tough cuts on the table, and there are going to be more cuts on the table, and there's going to be some more hard decisions to be making coming ahead. I think the first thing that you have to do when you're in those situations is very much think about what are the most essential needs in the community, what are the most essential priorities. And so that's looking at sort of what are the programs that if we lose them, it's going to hurt our city and it's going to have long-term impacts that are going to be unable to be undone. And so, it's a very difficult decision making because there are lots of things that folks want, there are a lot of things that folks are passionate about, and you just sometimes have to say no. And so when you look at things like, should we build a new pickleball court? Should we do some of these things that you have to really think about, are these nice to have things or are they we must have things? And there are lots of must have things on the table. And so that's one of the challenging pieces that I've been having to wrestle with over the past few years.
Matt, you're next.
Thank you. I pride myself in being among some of the most accessible public servants in the state, in that I make my cell phone available in the voters pamphlet. I make my cell phone available on all my business cards, my walk literature, on my website. I have an open door policy. And so if I want to hear from you at 541-515-3819, I want to hear from you. And when I meet with folks who are supporting the campaign, AFSCME, educators, firefighters, carpenters, we have that open dialogue. at all levels of government within the municipal apparatus, folks know that they can reach right out directly on a phone call or text away, or you can email, of course, and go to mattkeating.org, but 541-515-3819. It's about listening, and it's about being present, and yeah, there are tough choices ahead, but having that open dialogue and having that open door policy is paramount. Thank you.
Lisa?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Just basically looking at what your approach and philosophy is for budgeting during hard times.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Well, I think that we probably could, again, what I mentioned before is there are a lot of tax exemptions that are given out to development for an inordinate amount of time, in my opinion, when we have such desperate needs and why/desperate needs when we do have budget money, money that we could budget towards those things rather than giving these incentives to developers. I really don't think we need to give all those incentives. I know we have plenty of building for people. I'm in the industry myself. I don't think they need to be incentivized as long, period. That's one big way to stop some of the money. The other way is just figuring out areas in which our city is, some of the committees or commissions maybe are redundant perhaps, or maybe not doing as good of a job as they could. Is it time? Okay, I will close then. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the next question, I'm sorry. I'm trying to rush here. Go ahead. Ethan.
Yeah. So the city of Eugene has a lot of really passionate residents who band together in various formats, be that neighborhood associations, interest groups. It happens in a variety of ways. And they're able to come to city council and request monies for various projects under that banner. And sometimes that's for good, but sometimes that does result in a conversation about a pickleball court that is the fourth in our community. And we have to decide, is that a nice to have thing, or is that a must have thing? So the other side of that, of course, is that we're underfunding a lot of things as it is. So we do also have, to some extent, a revenue problem. And the city of Eugene has a certain reputation when it comes to playing with the county and playing with the state when it comes to budget time and the monies that the state and county make available to municipalities. And it's not a great reputation. I think if we can improve our relationship with county and state officials, we can ensure that when the governor's budget comes out each year, we have more monies for our community in that budget. Thank you.
I think that an independent auditor would have come in handy about now, personally. Also, when it comes to growing the economic pie, I think we need to do a lot more in order to facilitate, especially small business in Eugene. We also should cut, if we have to cut, we should cut from the top. We are bringing on a third assistant city manager. So we're up to there, and they are the highest paid people in our government. And I'm unclear as to why we need to do that, and we should really look at less impacting those ASPE members and the staff at the bottom, and looking at the compensation that we do for our administrative staff, especially when it comes to their twice as much they get in their retirement, and I don't think that's very equitable. Ultimately, I think that for the economy and for the budget, and I'm just going to end it there. Thank you.
Okay. So next question, Matt, you'll be the first one to answer. Do you support the measure to approve a bond for a proposed M Stadium complex at the Lane County Fairgrounds? Why or why not?
Yeah, I support sending the ballot measure to the voters so Eugene residents can decide on May 21. Full disclosure, I love the M's. I am a guest announcer for the M's periodically. But this is such a significant investment and a reimagining of the fairgrounds that would provide for a multi-use facility, emergency respite, emergency disaster, emergency training, and a whole host of community events, possibly concerts. So I'm open to the idea. Mind you, there are state dollars that could match if all the dollars match up. And ultimately, this May, in 53 short days, 50 by the time you're listening to this Monday night on KLCC, voters will decide. And so an issue of this magnitude, I find it the responsible thing to do, because it is a new revenue stream to allow for Eugene voters to up or down, say yes or no.
Lisa?
Thank you for the question. Can you hear this okay? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm very happy it went to the voters. I really am. I was opposed to using tax dollars for this, given the unhoused crisis we're having and the other issue we were just talking about the budget and about elderly not being able to stay in their homes. So I just find it kind of uncanny that we would even be discussing such a thing. But I don't know. I just feel that we need to be more responsible with our tax dollars at this point. Thank you very much for the question.
Ethan, you're next.
I'll echo what folks up here have said in that I believe it's a positive thing that this is going to the ballot, and I hope you all vote accordingly. I personally do support the M's at the fairgrounds. I'm a big fan of the M's, and I think we'd be having a different conversation if we were talking about a very exclusive thing for people to do in our community. But the reality is this is a $15 ticket for families who more and more feel like Eugene is not serving them. A $15 ticket for families to go out and have a great time out there at the fairgrounds. On Sundays, if you're not familiar, the Eugene Emeralds become the Monarchas, which is a really excellent program for a minority community in this town. And they activate on lots of other nights to support lots of other communities. They have Pride Night, they have First Responder Night. This is an organization that has been a good steward of our community. And I certainly get some heartburn at the price tag, but I don't know if Eugene is going to be the city to change how we do that in this country. So I do support the M's at the fairgrounds.
Ted?
I'm really not a baseball fan, but I am a fan of the $40 million of economic impact they provide every year and the hundreds of thousands of dollars towards community groups, and as Ethan said, having an important cultural outlet for our Latino community and their support for LGBTQ+. As chair of Jefferson Westside Neighbors, I've been in discussions and in numerous meetings on this topic for 3 years, and there's been a lot of public process. And I think, as my mom would say, it's time to fish or cut bait. And so this going to the ballot is a good thing. I think it pencils out as a very good economic move for us as a community. And I've been a supporter of it and working closely with Alan Benavides. And when they came to that neighborhood, they came to the Neighborhood Association first when they started thinking about that, and they've been fantastic to work with.
Thanks. Eliza?
Hey, well, thank you so much. So it's so unfortunate that we're in this position where we need to have a new stadium in order to have the M's continue to be in our community. That's a really unfortunate position to have been put in. I'm glad that it's going to the voters. I'm glad that the city council decided it would go to the voters, because that will allow us to kind of get a sense of where people are with this. Have a lot of unanswered questions. We don't know where the rest of the money is coming from. We don't know what the impacts or some of the operational pieces are going to be. And so that makes me a little bit nervous when we're having these conversations about how is this all going to end out. And when I think about the budget challenges we're facing, we just had a question about budget priorities. My budget priorities are things that are going to help improve the health and safety of our community, and things that are going to help make sure that people in our community have housing that they can live in, that they can afford. And so, this is a challenging conversation because we're in a very unfortunate situation with where the M's are. Thanks.
Next question, and Lisa, you're going to get first crack at this one. If you're elected as a Eugene City Councilor, how will you ensure that people of all age groups, marginalized voices, and other impacted communities are included in decisions that are likely going to affect them?
Thank you for that question. As a Choctaw Nation member, I really am in touch with socioeconomic issues. And one of the things I really do think we need to bring back is a lot more citizen involvement. That's been gone for 20 years. And that does need to come back. The city is sorely in need of involvement. And I think that is the key to having a community that's viable, that you feel comfortable in, that you want to be a part of. I want to keep the heart of Eugene alive, the Eugene I moved to 45 years ago. Thank you for the question.
Ethan?
It is great to have an open door policy, but in my experience working with Active Bethel Community, I saw firsthand how difficult it is to get folks to carve time out of their day to take advantage of an open door policy. The reality is we have to go out and meet these constituents. We have to go out and find the young families and find folks in minority communities like the LGBTQ plus community and engage with them authentically. That's kind of the second part. Not only do we have to go out and reach them, but we have to go out and reach them with an open mind. We can't come in with an agenda already set. We can't, we have to come in and recognize our own bias and discern biases in those folks and put all of that together to ultimately create a plan that we decisively execute on following that engagement. Thank you.
Ted?
I've been involved in neighborhood associations since 2016, and we have the infrastructure in Eugene right now to do the kind of outreach and engagement that we could do. But unfortunately, the neighborhood association system has been chronically undercut and underfunded and thwarted by the actions of certain elements within city government. And if we were properly funded, when I first came, actually before I came, there were 3 staff people that were dedicated full-time. Now we're down to 1 staff person. They even took our name out of the office that we're under. And it's just the biggest bang for your buck. And if you really want to reach neighbors, they should be reached by other neighbors, people that they live in the same neighborhood. Physicality matters. Neighborhoods matter. And if we could properly fund and support neighborhood associations, then those neighborhood associations can be the foundation of our democracy in Eugene and can go out there and do that outreach. But as it stands right now, it's incredibly difficult to get people up and motivated, and that's because we're hamstrung on resources.
Eliza?
So what I will say is that a lot of who we listen to as a city is who shows up. And the type of people who can spend their Tuesday night at a neighborhood association meeting, who can spend their Monday night commenting at city council, are not necessarily representative of the city of Eugene. They don't necessarily speak for all the people in the city or in their neighborhood. And so that gets back into, you have to not just go and find people where they're at, go find those folks who are not thinking about, you know, hey, here's what's going to happen, here's this particular issue, and who feel comfortable and safe coming and speaking. Speaking in front of council is hard. It's hard to do this outreach. It's hard to know who to talk to. And so you have to be able to go to them to figure out what it is they need to do that very directly. And then on top of that, you have to listen. Because when you start hearing a lot of loud voices coming at you at the council table, it can be hard to remember that conversation you had 3 weeks ago. So thank you.
Show up, listen, learn. There was an untenable situation last summer at the library. There were campsites aplenty, essentially blocking access to the library. And it was my engagement with our neighborhood associations, with library staff, and with law enforcement that led me to a pragmatic, swift action to advance an ordinance to ban camping within 1,000 feet of the library or any school in Eugene, while at the same time, in my role as Human Services Chair at the time, saving the funding for community-supported shelters so our unhoused population can get access to the housing support services they so desperately need. I couldn't have done that alone, but I did that because I listened and I learned and pivoted and took action, whether that's at Transponder, at a Pride event, whether it's at United Way, whether it's with community-supported shelters, whether it's with the diverse array of voices in our community. Show up, listen, learn.
Thank you. Next question, and Ethan, you're going to get to be the first one on this one. According to the assessor's office, the median market value for a home in the city of Eugene is now more than $480,000. High housing costs have priced many current Eugene residents out of the market. As a city councilor, what can you do to help make housing more affordable and accessible for residents?
Yeah. So we've got a lot of programs out there right now that are designed to get projects to pencil out. But we do those in the spirit of building new housing, but we also have to walk that talk. We can't just kind of put money on that problem. When I talk to the Carpenters Union, I hear them talking about, man, the city of Eugene is difficult to work with. Sometimes it's not about the money, sometimes it's about red tape, sometimes it's about jumping through hoops, and that's why folks don't work on development projects in Eugene sometimes. So we need to develop a better reputation at the city itself for being a place that says yes to housing, that exercises some discretion when it comes to getting housing built, and makes those projects a reality. It's important to do that, to make sure that local developers who maybe are not as well staffed as Portland developers, they need to feel like they can take on projects here and not just in Springfield, right? We have a lot of programs. We have a land bank. We have construction excise taxes, affordable housing trust, SDC waivers, MUPTI, urban renewal dollars. We've developed a lot of programs to move the needle on this, and they aren't doing it the way they do in other communities. So there's other work that has to be done to the city. It's not just a money thing.
Ted?
The first thing we need to do is to build the infrastructure to support the construction of housing within the urban growth boundary. There's huge sections that could support large developments within the urban growth boundary that we can't build on because there's no infrastructure. The only way you're going to drop the price of homes is the same way we made housing affordable after the Second World War, and that's at a massive scale. You need to buy train loads of materials in order to get any kind of economies of scale. The second thing we need to do is stop trying to take the pressure off the market from the top down, which is what we've been doing, right? Expensive fourplexes or other types of infill, which is great. We have a lot of infill in Jefferson West Side. But that's a boutique solution to a mass production problem. All right. So that means building more affordable housing and taking the pressure off from the bottom up instead. With our Ollie Court, we managed to get the neighborhood involved. We got that site up and going, and that's how we built affordable housing, and I think we can drive that from the bottom up.
Eliza?
Thank you so much. Part of the reason why housing is so expensive in Eugene is because we did not build enough housing for decades. Part of the reason why we did not build enough housing for decades is because we said, we don't want housing in our community. We put things in our zoning code, we put things in our laws that said, you can't build here. And so we have been making a lot of progress over the past few years at really looking at how can we have a community that says, yes, we do want more neighbors in our neighborhoods. Yes, we do want to look at how we can create houses that have different needs for different people. And I've been very involved in that work. I feel like the next step is how can we go beyond that? What are the other things that are in our codes and in our processes that make it hard for people to create homes in Eugene? And not just big developers who are going to build at mass scale, but the person who wants to put a cottage in their backyard so that their mother can live there and be able to be living with that family. And the people who, all right, so let's look at how we can continue on the trajectory we're on to allow more housing in our community.
In the summer of 2021, we advanced accessory dwelling unit reform, essentially allowing for folks a little more creativity to build responsibly in their own backyard to keep families together. Yes, this may be the most pro-housing city council in the history of the city of Eugene. Housing developments on the riverfront, housing development at 1059 Willamette, that is more affordable housing, more federally subsidized housing than it is market rate housing. It's like 60 to 40%, and we're partnering with Hope and Safety Alliance, formerly Women's Space. So 10 of those units are going to directly help those who are transitioning from a disastrous situation at home. Yes, we need housing. Yes, we need to build up responsibly along transportation routes. And yes, we need to fundamentally protect our urban growth boundary, our natural areas to the south, our forests, our wooded areas to the south, and our farmlands to the north. We can build up responsibly, Eugene. It's time to grow up. It's time to build up.
Thank you for the question. I think Ted pretty much answered it according to how I feel about it. I believe that affordable housing is definitely one of the big answers to this question. Absolutely. So we need to implement affordable housing. We need to look for the players, the developers that are doing these types of projects and focus on that. And right there we'll be able to gain some affordable housing. Building right now, since 2020, materials have gone up 4 times.
Can't hear you. Microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. But building materials have gone up, quadrupled since 2020. It's really difficult to build without some kind of incentive. I realize that. But there are developers out there that are doing these projects, and I plan to find them and bring them to Eugene. Thank you.
Okay, next question, and Ted, you get to go first on this. According to the most recent annual point-in-time count, there are roughly 3,000 people experiencing homelessness in Lane County alone. What is the current gap in the way our region responds to homelessness? And as a city councilor, how would you address it?
I began, along with others, advocating for sanctioned camping in 2018 and 2019. That is the only solution. We've been running for that solution for decades. That's it. Honestly, it is the county and the state's fiscal, statutory responsibility to provide housing for the unhoused, for mental health, and for physical health. And they've fallen down tragically. The money that we're spending as a city on homelessness is why we have a budget shortfall. If they were really taking their share, we would not have that budget shortfall. So we need to put more pressure on the county, do a better job of working well with the county, because we don't play well with them, in order to get them to step up and just realize that we're burning through hundreds of thousands of dollars just every year just to pick up trash and clean up after camps that could be used to have sanctioned camping. Sanctioned camping is the answer. It is the only answer, and that should be coupled with removing the possibilities for street camping.
Eliza?
Thank you. So passing the buck on whose problem homelessness is not going to solve it. We need to be working together with our partners in the county and the state. We all have a role to play, and going and saying, hey, this is your problem, not mine, is not going to fix it. It's all of our problems. And there is not one solution. There needs to be focus from many, many different areas. We need to be looking at how do we create more housing and more homes in our community. We need to be working with our partners in the county who do have responsibility for healthcare and behavioral health to help ensure that we are getting the right supports to the right people. We do need to be helping with providing shelter. We need to be talking to folks at the state. We need to be looking at sort of long-term, systematically, what are the things that got us into this place? How can we tweak our systems to build a more sustainable future? We need to be both looking at short-term, how can we alleviate the immediate suffering that's happening to folks in our community, both housed and unhoused, as well as a long-term, how do we move this forward in a way that means that we're not going to end up back here next time we come into rough times. Thank you.
Matt?
Eugene's Safe Sleep Sites program, and in particular, the Nightingale Rest Stop on 34th and Hilliard in South Eugene, is a model that should be replicated throughout our community. Nightingale boasts a 70% rehousing rate to get folks on a pathway to more permanent supportive housing. I applaud that. Unfortunately, the state and the Fed's definitions when it comes to emergency housing fall short of the Conestoga huts the Nightingale and other safe sleep sites erect. So we need to work with our state partners and our federal partners. I have those relationships. I'm endorsed by former Congressman Peter DeFazio, Congresswoman Val Hoyle, State Senator Floyd Brzezinski, State Senator James Manning, Representative former Representative Phil Barnhart, Representative Paul Holvey, and our Lane County Commissioners Heather Buck and Lori Trieger, and former Commissioner Pete Sorensen. I have the relationships to help move the needle, to help change the definition of emergency housing, and ensure that Eugene and Lane County gets the funds that we so desperately need to expand our Safe Sleep Site Rest Stop program.
Lisa?
Again, affordable housing. A lot of the people, the newer people on the streets these days are people that cannot afford to live in their homes, and they are out on the street now. So affordable housing is definitely one of the answers here. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
How to address the homelessness crisis? Is the
Well,
question.
yes, affordable housing is definitely a key, and it's a national issue. It's not, it's not just a state issue. It's not just a county issue. It's a national issue. So we need to draw from all of the people that are able to. Pardon me?
Louder.
Oh, sorry. I'm bad at this with the microphone. Anyway, I just feel that there are other players that can come to the table. We need to put our heads together. It's a giant problem, and there's no one solution. Thank you.
Ethan?
So there's definitely some yes and up here, right? Our safe sleep sites are wonderful, and we should continue to invest in those and new ones and access more funding for them. We can't turn off the spigot of funding for those kinds of things. And at the same time, we must pressure our county, state, and federal partners to increase what they're putting into those projects and to ensure that they are holding up kind of their end of that bargain, right? That's the yes and. To speak to a specific gap, Oregon is bottom of the country in mental health services. That's a rough spot to be in, and that is a very common co-occurrence with homelessness. The homeless community is not a monolith, but that is one constituency there, and we are failing them from a mental health perspective. So we need to be partnering with folks at the state to make sure that this is an attractive place for people who work in that industry to come here and to set up shop. We need to be investing in facilities that provide those services to folks. That is a specific gap that I think that we can be investing in.
Well, believe it or not, we have come to the end of our time. So we have 1 minute each for closing statements, and we're going to start the opposite of how we began. And Lisa, you get to go first. And please, each of you, reintroduce yourself when you start, just so KLCC listeners know who's talking. Go ahead, Lisa.
I'm Lisa Warnes. I'm running for Ward 2 City Council. I've been knocking on a lot of doors over the last month and a half, and a common statement I've been hearing from the residents in Ward 2, and I quote, that their current counselor is not responding to their emails or their phone calls. Also, he appears to be a very ambitious man with his eyes on higher elected offices. He's made a lot of people very upset in his first term as counselor, and they're ready for a change. And I will be that kind of counselor who listens and works hard to represent. I will return emails and phone calls. If you are a Ward 2 resident, I ask you for your vote. For all other community members, know that you have my commitment to work hard at bringing our community together around shared goals and values. We can do this together. And I intend to be the counselor who comes prepared to meetings, to do my own research, and ask tough questions of the city manager and staff. This is why I'm endorsed by former Councilor Betty Taylor, George Brown, Bonnie Bettman McCornack, and Paul Nicholson. For more information, you can visit my website, warnesforcouncil.org.
At mattkeating.org, you'll see a breadth of support from across the community because I have a track record, 4 years on city council, 8 years as a Lane Community College Board of Education member, getting results, keeping tuition affordable, protecting programs that are vital to our community. And as your city councilor, yeah, I've ruffled some feathers. As mentioned earlier, I may be the fossil fuel industry's least favorite city councilor. We have to decarbonize. We have to advance electrification for the future of our planet. We have to invest in housing at all income levels, affordable housing, missing middle housing, co-op housing. We have to solve the homeless crisis at all levels of government. I have the energy, the commitment, the experience, and the relationships. And I love South Eugene. Neighbors, I love it so much. I'm asking for your support, but also I feel a little, I lost my wedding ring last night walking my dog. If you see a wedding ring on East 39th Avenue, I hope I find it. I want to say thank you to my wife, Becca, for being here. Thank you to my in-laws, and thank you to all our supporters. And thank you, KLCC, for rebroadcasting and City Club for hosting. I'm Matt Keating, and I'd be honored to earn your support for re-election.
Thank you. I am Eliza Kashinsky. I'm running for Ward 1 Eugene City Council, and thank you to City Club and KLCC and everyone who is here today. These are not problems Eugene is facing right now with climate, with housing, our housing shortage, with the homelessness crisis. These are not problems that can be solved in 1-minute sound bites. These are problems that need hard work. They need thoughtful consideration. They need the ability to work collaboratively with other partners. You need to have relationships in order to be able to move this needle forward. You need to have knowledge. You need to know what has happened, what we've tried, what's failed, what we need to do more of. That's not something that you learn overnight. I've been doing this work for 10 years as an advocate, for 7 years on the budget committee, and I've gained those relationships, I've gained that knowledge. I've done this before, so like when I hear these solutions coming up, I'm the person who, when it starts being city council, I can hit the ground running. So please, my website is electeliza.com, and come find out more or reach out. Thank you.
I'm Ted Coopman, and I'm running for Ward 1 City Council. The choice for Ward 1 City Council is clear. Visit my website, www.tedcoopman.com. Read about my accomplishments and perspectives on a wide variety of issues and my ideas for moving forward. Consider my endorsements to those of my opponents. Ask yourself, who gets to control Eugene? Who has a record of advocating for Ward 1? If you think City Council should take direction from the bottom up rather than the top down, I'm your candidate. If you think we need leadership for a change, then vote for me in May. I have a proven 8-year record of bringing together stakeholders to tackle the toughest issues we face. It is solving those pressing problems, not ideological agendas or dictates out of Salem, that drive my advocacy. Thank you for listening to me. I'm here and eager to listen to you. I'm an independent Democrat who takes direction for Ward 1 voters, not political parties or powerful special interests. Vote leadership for a change. Vote Ted for City Council.
My name is Clevenger, and I'm running for City Council in Ward 1. I sit up here as the only candidate in my particular race that earned the endorsement of both the Democratic Party of Lane County, but also the Eugene Chamber of Commerce. And I'm not always the most popular person in either of those rooms. I am self-aware enough to see that I've not made any friends in a room at the chamber when I defend something that Councilor Keating said at last week's City Council meeting. And when I went to the DPLC to seek their endorsement, I gave honest answers, and I was booed, but I was also endorsed. Because the reality is that people in both of those rooms recognize that if we're going to move the needle on housing and homelessness, if we're going to make our public spaces and our downtown streets welcoming and accessible for our entire community, we're going to have to evaluate all ideas in our community in good faith and with an open mind to arrive at equitable solutions. We are a city that is now tasked with facilitating full and rewarding lives for going on 200,000 people. We are not a city of 40 to 50,000 people. And we're going to have to run it decisively if we're going to accomplish that for the folks in our community. If you visit ethanforeugene.com, I encourage you to hit up the endorsements page and add your name to a growing list of community endorsers. You may think, why? My sphere of influence is small, but the reality is that your friends and family value your opinion on matters in this community, and it's time that the city does the same. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. This has been...
Please join me in thanking our moderator, Rachel McDonald. and the candidates for an intelligent and lively debate. We'd like to thank our business and in-kind sponsors. Our gold sponsors are Network Charter School, Hirschner Hunter LLC, Evans Elder Brown and Schubert, and Hudson Dental. Thank you also to our in-kind sponsors, KRVM 91.9 Radio, Alpha IT, Dotson's Photography, and Kid Sports. And a special thank you to our award-winning public radio station, KLCC FM 89.7, for airing City Club programs on Monday at 7. For listening at home right now, your household is one of several thousand tuning into City Club on KLCC. We love that you're here. You can also find recent City Club programs archived on KLCC, as well as our YouTube channel and as podcasts. And we appreciate KLCC for providing KLCC reporters to moderate our election programming. This has been our March 29th program, and we ask you to come back next Friday, April 5th, when our program will go from local wards to international journalism. For 4 days at the University of Oregon, there's a conference called Extra, Don't Kill the Messenger. It's about reporters who have been forced to leave their country for fear of injury to themselves and to their families. This program is open to the public. It's in the ERB building. I suggest that you look up Extra, Don't Kill the Messenger on Google and find out what programs you might be interested in. You'll probably see me there if you're there. The 3 journalists who are participating in that program will be here next Friday to tell about their experiences. And we hope you'll all be with us then. That concludes our program for today. Thank you very much.